Hello, I'm Dr. Delia Garcia, and I wanted to share with you this remarkable story of a client named Jeff who completely transformed his life on the lifestyle program that I coach along with a huge organization of coaches around the country. So you are in for a real treat.
I'm not just a coach, I'm a client. I'm in this program. I'm not where I'm wanting to be yet. But yeah, it's 23rd of this month. Will be 6 months active in the program since I launched my first day. And I went from 295 pounds down to 205. For those that's never seen my story or heard it, I am a congestive heart failure patient. I have a cardiomyopathy, a reduced echo fracture. My heart only pumps at 22% of its capacity, and I have a pacemaker defibrillator. Well, all that is bad health in itself. And on top of that, here I was faced with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, narcolepsy, restless leg syndrome, neuropathy in my feet, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. They literally convinced me that taking 18 pills a day, 12 different prescription medicines, was the key to life. And I'm a 47-year-old man. I went from never taking medicine to all of a sudden now taking 18 pills. And finally, last August, last August, the doctor told me that we're going to do gastric bypass surgery. I mean, it wasn't even like he was saying, have you ever thought about it? He was literally saying, we're going to do it. And we're probably going to add a lot more medicine on. And I just told him that day that it wasn't going to happen. I said, I've got this lady that keeps calling me and talking to me, and I think I'm going to try what she's talking about. And he told me at that point, he said, try it. He said, some of them things work, some of them don't. He said, 6 months from now, we'll see where you're at. Well, I went back to Barnes Hospital yesterday, and it kind of stellar moment, because when he turned around and looked at me, all he could say was, wow. He just couldn't believe it. And so I pulled up I started a conversation with him. I said, do you remember last time I was here, we was talking about going to the zoo? He said, yeah. So as soon as he did, I pulled up a picture I often show on Facebook of me holding my son at the zoo. And when it did, it showed me at 295 pounds, and he was speechless. So he instantly was like, whatever you're doing, he said, I highly recommend it. If I can help you in any way, what you're doing, let me know. He said, I have several people that need to talk to you about what you're going through right now. So which was great. And on top of that, he took me off another medicine to where now I'm down to he reduced it. So now I'm down to only taking 4 pills. In less than 6 months' time with this program, I went from taking 18 pills to 4. And the one he reduced was the
water pill, wasn't it, Jeff?
Torsemide. Yeah, he reduced the torsemide. And he told me, he said that the biggest thing that ever concerns him about huge weight losses like this is what happens to blood pressures. He said, your blood pressure is maintaining well with taking 1 losartan pill. So he said, we're going to leave that losartan where it's at. He said, which he said, losartan and the torsemide, they're Band-Aids. He said, I think you're removing the Band-Aid on your own. He said, I think you're realizing what you got to do. So he said, you come back next year, he said, we're probably going to have you off that losartan and that torsemide. He said, there's a good chance you'll always take that spironolactone and carvedilol. He said, unless the heart strengthens enough that it decides to start squeezing the pressure on its own, he said, you'll probably always be on those. He said, but he said, I'm real optimistic that we're going to get you down on taking 2 pills. So I'm refocused, and my goal is to hit 180 pounds here before we take the tarp off the swimming pool.
Oh, that's so fun, Jeff. And the other thing is, mention how much money you're saving every year.
Yeah, that's something I started last night, and nobody's jumped on it really yet, but told a simple message: how much money do you spend a month in prescriptions? Which my prescription a month was $1,100, and now it's going to be down to about $25. So
Wow.
literally saving $12,000 a year just in medicines, and it's remarkable. I mean, so people getting healthy, and if you're spending that kind of money like I was, I mean, what can you do with $12,000? I take and show people pictures of my truck. I just completely restored a 2000 model Chevy pickup for my son, which he'll get in 14 years. But I completely restored a truck from the ground up that's sitting in the garage that I can show people, because the money I saved on prescriptions, I'm able to do something like this. And so I thought that little bit out there, trying to see where that goes with people. And I'm going to try to do a live video this weekend on it and actually sit down and show my prescription bills on what I was paying. And hopefully people will awaken that, exact words of the doctor, a medicine is a Band-Aid. You need to strive to pull that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and the last thing, Jeff, is tell us what your blood work shows now. Your
when I first started the program, I was running when they found me as being a diabetic, my blood sugars were running nearly 400, and I had like a 9.3 A1C, and they got that down, controlling it around. Well, I don't want to say it's controlling it. It was still running around an 8 with taking metformin and glimepiride, and that was 3 pills a day right there. And now with losing the weight, it literally took me 30 days. 2 weeks into the program, I bumped into my doctor at a festival down here, a little fall festival, and I told him what I was doing. And you couldn't really tell at that point. I was right at almost 20 pounds within 2 weeks that I'd lost. And I had a huge first week. I lost 15 pounds in my first week. And I told him, I said, my sugar is running perfect around 100, 99 to 105 right now. He said, quit taking the metformin and see what happens. He said, start checking it 4 times a day. So I did. And he told me, he said, when you get 30 days into the program, he said, come see me. He said, because insurance companies only like to pay to have that blood work done every 91 days. He said, so let's go 30 days, have it checked, then we can go 90 days and do it again. He said, we'll see how this program is progressing for you. So when I went back at the end of 30 days, my blood work went from in the 80s or in the 8s on the A1C down to 6.5. He said, that's a good range for a diabetic. My blood sugar level had went from an average of 330 down to an average of 112. My cholesterol went from 330 down to 130. My triglycerides, it went from 286 down to 130. So he instantly took me off of them medicines right there. And then Monday, before I went to the heart doctor, I went to see my primary care doctor, and my blood work come back to my A1C was 5.5, no sign of diabetes anywhere. My cholesterol was my total cholesterol was 127. My triglycerides was 59, and my overall blood sugar is running 102. And it's just it's the weight, getting that weight off. Eating healthy has been the key to it all.
Well, Jeff, let me say this. As a physician, I can say to you, you were dying.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds dramatic, but you were killing yourself. And what you've done now is you have saved your life. So we're all so proud of you.
Well, I allowed a doctor, which is wrong. I allowed a doctor to get inside my head and tell me how bad my heart was, to the point that he told me that he said, you don't need to be getting out exercising because you don't have a second wind like other people have. You don't need to be overdoing yourself. So he basically convinced me in my head that I needed to become a couch potato. And I did. It was something I had never been in my life, and I had become a couch potato. For 2 years, I laid in that recliner learning what every soap opera was. And it got bad. And when he finally threatened me with the surgery, it awoken me. Plus, along the fact that I had, I'm 47 years old now, and I have my first child finally. And the fact of not being able to get down on the floor, I would literally take my baby and set him up on my bed so I could sit next to it and play with him because I could not get down on the floor. The life that he's now gaining because dad's in the floor crawling around, playing hide and seek with him, running around the house. It's an unbelievable feeling to have. And I mean, I don't know what more I can do, to convince people how great this program is. I mean, it's really changed my life, not just on the eating part, but on the overall health part, but the mindset that you gain out of it.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for sharing that. And, your little boy has his dad and will have his dad. You'll be around to raise him, and your wife is her husband back.
I think he's wanting to get on the phone and look too. Hang on.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at him and
Oh,
hey, buddy.
there he is.